On this channel, we talk a lot about how to sell on Upwork. Today, I want to address another topic which is equally important, and that is how not to sell on Upwork. And I have made a similar video about this topic a couple of years ago. Check it out here on my channel after this episode. And let's dive straight into the first mistake you might be committing as a freelancer when applying to the Upwork job post, and that is being too pushy. And before we move to the example I want to share with you, let me note that this is a fresh experience from the client's point of view, something you want to learn to avoid. Let's see this young man here, and his application is perfect. The links, everything. He is definitely a professional. I loved his work. But what he does straight from his second message is he's trying to push a package, a monthly package, when we haven't done one piece of work with him yet. I might not like his work. He's already trying to negotiate further. Might be a smart move. I don't know. I'm definitely not ready to answer how many videos I'm planning to produce every week and month. What I was looking for is a simple estimate, and he's being a little bit too pricey, totally neglecting the approximate price I was ready to pay, and I indicated my budget in the description. Mistake number 2 is not giving him your application message, something the client asked you for in the description. For example, if the client asked you for some similar works, please don't expect the client to go and dig in your profile some links related to his or her project. If I can't see it, I won't dig for it, unless I'm really desperate, which you shouldn't be counting on. Someone else has probably already sent the client what he or she was asking for, so you have already lost a competition if you didn't do that. Here's this girl who I wanted to give a chance, even though she didn't provide the link I asked for, and here's how she responds. Oh yes, I have a video in the Talking Hack format, and I believe I attached it to my application. Well, such response firstly betrays your irritation with the client. How can you be so stupid? And secondly, it complicates the process for the client. And for example, in this case, I couldn't find a link in her application to the example I asked for. See? It's not obvious. I can't find it, even when I'm patient enough to click all the way through her profile, and I simply haven't got the time to convince myself that this girl can do the job. I, as a client, shouldn't be looking high and low for something as simple as a link to the latest video example. And this video has been among my shortlisted candidates, and had she responded in a more amiable way and not like, open your eyes, old witch, she would have got her job 200%. I was short on time, I didn't have the time to look for the links I asked for, so I hired someone else instead. Mistake number 3, and that is something I got tired talking about, and that is not putting a secret word on top of your application. I'll be honest with you, I still hire people who don't do that, and I still consider them if they provided everything else, and I liked examples of their work, but it sets a sad tone from a very beginning. And if this job is like highly competitive and there are lots of applications, clients are more eager to respond to those who actually put that secret word, because putting this word makes you stand out from all the rest who didn't. Here's what I'm talking about. I asked all applicants to include fantasy on top of their application, and I can see straight away that this applicant has put fantasy, this one did, and this one didn't. And the client can see that straight away. Some clients might choose to cut you off entirely, starting step 0. Now, mistake number 4 is not providing a direct answer to the client's questions when already in a conversation. Say the client picked up you and you started negotiating the terms, and the client has asked you some questions. For example, could you please provide an approximate estimate for what it would be like? And you start to ask millions of unrelated questions in return. Ain't nobody got time for that? These questions sometimes are not even related to the actual tasks, and they confuse the client, and actually it makes it obvious that you can't come up with an estimate because you are trying to understand how much you can have from that particular client. Clients are not idiots. They can sense that. Clients actually do understand that you try to look into their purses or pockets or wallets or wherever and trying to understand how much they can give instead of being honest about estimating your effort and how much it will take you. Now, here's what I'm talking about. I received an application of this freelancer and I asked him to provide an estimate, and I provided everything he needed for an estimate. And what I get is an ocean of words words, I don't want even to read everything, and some extra questions that are not related to the actual estimate that won't help him to provide me an estimate. And all of this because he wants to know my budget, but I've actually indicated my preferred budget. Of course, it's not strict, but just don't go like 5 times above what I'm ready to pay. Now, mistake number 5 is too many salesy words and a long message without a message. What's your point, bro? I don't have time for all this verbal diarrhea. Either provide me direct answers to my quite specific questions or bye. That's what I'm speaking about. A long sheet of words, questionnaire for me to answer. Mistake number 6, and that is quite awkward, but let me address that. And that is offering some generic praise for the client and then letting the client down with your unasked for recommendations and suggestions, not related to actual job posting. Let me give you an example, and I'm sure you've met with dozens of these, such as, I saw your website, it looks fantastic, you do an amazing job, but it lacks some SEO, or I could do some content optimization or whatever, and I can fix all your faults for you. First of all, I might not have known that I have any faults. Secondly, most probably I do. And by the way, when I received all those messages, my website didn't look fantastic. It looked like a pile of shite. And if you really visited it, you would agree with me. But you haven't. And I know that this is a generic message and it has nothing to do with my website, which, let's be fair, needed a 100% redo. And also, it doesn't make me feel that great. Or my favorite, I saw your YouTube channel and it looks fantastic, but it could do with some improvements in thumbnails, titles, video editing, like everything. Now it makes me feel like a piece of shit. And also, I don't believe you really checked my channel. And even if you had, I didn't ask you for an audit. If I would need an audit and when I'm ready for that, I will post a job related to this request, or I will turn to specialists whom I trust. And I actually have those. It's just maybe it's not my priority right now. It's like coming up to a person who is overweight and telling them, hey, you look gorgeous, but I think you could do with some weight loss, and I happen to be a fitness coach. Come to me. Now, wouldn't that sound annoying? Because I would know that your compliments are fake. So, no thank you, and you annoyed me and spoiled my attitude for the rest of the day. If I don't trust you, I don't believe a word you say. Now that leads me to mistake number 7, and that is ignoring the job description altogether and coming up with something entirely different, not related to job description, and offering some unrelated services or offering something else instead. For example, we posted a job, UI UX designer, pretty basic, and the job description mentions 100 websites of our media client. What does the applicant see? Not what we posted. I visited Melivora's website and I can see your website is in bad shape and could use some new design. No, you didn't. It's not in bad shape, it's plain dead. But anyways, it isn't on the table, and if you would have read the description, you would have known that, and you would have known that it has nothing to do with either Melivora or its website. It had to do with 100 websites of our media client, the websites you haven't and now won't see. Now, mistake number 8 is don't be too abrupt and uninformative in your responses to the client when your conversation actually begins. That's another extreme communication behavior you want to avoid. One extreme is being too salesy, too pushy, providing too many words that nobody wants to read. And another extreme is being too short, too abrupt, too cutting off. Don't be so openly rude. Again, the same example of the same girl who didn't provide me the link I asked for. I had to look through her application and I still couldn't find it. Not only this, but later she followed me up with a hey. Hey, really? No, that's not how you follow up on clients. Another example would be this. I hired a person to apply to the job I posted. So if you didn't know, when a client sends you an invite, it doesn't cost you any connects to apply, so you may well apply. However, I've already hired someone else before she replied. You can see how she followed me up. Are you there? Well, I would consider that an inappropriate way to follow up on a client. Sounds irritated, angry, and kind of annoyed at the client, which you well might be, but please don't let it show. And let me address another mistake, and again, that is related to the communication part. And as you might have noticed, everything about this is related to your soft skills, not your hard skills. Nobody questions your qualifications or your skills as a professional, but it all comes to the communication part, to the soft skills, to building a trust between you and your potential client. And the mistake I'm talking about now is taking your time to respond, like too much time. Sometimes clients like myself are crazy and want to start right away, hire the same day as the job posting goes. That is because of me, because I'm an anxious person and I want to start with the project while my confidence in what I'm doing hasn't worn off. I feel bad when I have to spend my own money. I prefer to earn them, not to spend them. So please respond to your client as soon as the conversation starts. Of course, it might take you a few hours, but taking few days is kind of too long. Please respond as soon as you can, otherwise why bother applying and spending your connects, time and money on application. Now that wraps it up for today. Check out my playlist on how to actually sell on Upwork both as an individual and as an agency. Go hunting, stay strong, stay smart and try to survive out there. See you soon.